I looked at the messages on my screen and typed 4 words that would send my husband's mistress into an absolute meltdown. You got the leftovers. What happened after that conversation changed everything about my marriage, my sense of self, and the carefully constructed life I had spent 15 years building. My name is Claudia, and I have been married to my husband, Victor, for 15 years. To the outside world, we have the perfect life. And honestly, for a long time, I believed we did too. Victor has a phenomenal career, the kind that affords us a beautiful home, international travel, luxury cars, the works. I have not had to worry about bills in years. Instead, I spend my days doing what I love, designing custom jewelry in my studio. It is my passion, my creative outlet, my reason for getting up in the morning. The profit from my jewelry business would never sustain the lifestyle I have been living, not even close, but it fulfills me in a way that money never could. Our families are deeply intertwined. Our parents are close, our social circle is wide and warm, and every holiday is a gathering that spills out the front door with laughter and food and people I genuinely love being around. Victor and I built this life together, brick by brick, and from the outside, it is flawless. I need you to understand the full picture of what my life looks like, so that what comes next makes sense. Our home is in a quiet neighborhood with old trees and wide sidewalks. We have a garden that I tend every spring, tomatoes and herbs and sunflowers that grow taller than Victor by July. The kitchen is my favorite room, all white cabinets and marble countertops and a window above the sink that lets in the morning light. My jewelry studio is in a converted room off the back of the house, and when I am in there working, with my torch and my pliers and my gemstones spread across the workbench, the rest of the world ceases to exist. That studio is my haven. It has saved me more times than I can count. Our social life is rich in a way that I never take for granted. Dinner parties, weekend getaways with other couples, holiday gatherings where the table is so long it has to be set up in the backyard. Victor and I are the couple that everyone envies. People have told us this to our faces. You two are relationship goals. They have no idea. Nobody ever does. Victor himself is, by all accounts, a wonderful partner. He cooks. He cleans alongside me. Every Friday, without fail, he makes my favorite meal. If I called him at 3 in the morning because I was feeling down and wanted a burger or a bag of candy, he would get dressed, drive to whatever was open, and bring it back to me without a single complaint. He would do this with a smile. That is the kind of man he is. Or rather, that is the kind of man I thought he was. Because Victor has been having an affair, and I have known about it for 8 months. Let me explain how I found out, because it was not some dramatic discovery. There was no lipstick on the collar, no mysterious hotel receipt in his pocket. It was subtler than that, and in some ways, that made it worse. It started with a change in his behavior. Victor and I have always been close. The kind of close where you finish each other's sentences, where you can read each other's moods from across the room, where silence between you is comfortable, not empty. We had a running joke that he could not stand being away from me. If he had to work late for a few days in a row, he would come home and dramatically collapse on the couch and say, "I didn't see you enough this week. This weekend, you're mine." It was sweet. It was us. Then something shifted. He became quiet. Not the comfortable quiet we shared, but a heavy, distracted quiet. He developed this 1,000-yard stare, like he was looking at something I could not see. And the thing that really got me, the thing that made my stomach drop before my brain had even processed what was happening, was his smile. He could not look me in the eyes when he smiled. His lips would curve up, but his gaze would slide away. Like making direct eye contact while pretending everything was fine was more dishonesty than he could manage. I started having nightmares. I did not know why at first, just this pervasive sense of dread that followed me from sleep into waking. My body knew something was wrong before my mind was willing to accept it. The worst part was the in-between. The weeks where I knew something was wrong, but did not yet know what. I would lie awake at night, feeling him breathing next to me, wondering what he was thinking about, wondering if he was thinking about her. I would study his face at dinner, looking for cracks, for signs, for some concrete evidence that my gut was right. And he would catch me looking and say, "What?" with that half smile, and I would say, "Nothing." And we would go back to eating in a silence that used to be comfortable and now felt like holding my breath underwater. I lost weight during those weeks. Not on purpose. I just could not eat. Food tasted like cardboard. My friends noticed and asked if I was okay, and I would smile and say I was trying a new diet. The lies we tell to protect the lies we are living inside. And then one day, for the first time in our entire relationship, he told me he was going to stay the night somewhere else. In 15 years, he had never done that. Not once. This was a man who practically ran through the front door every evening because he missed being home. And now he was telling me, casually, that he would not be coming home tonight. He came back in the middle of the night. I pretended to be asleep. He was a mess. Emotional, shaky, his eyes red. He crawled into bed next to me and whispered, almost to himself, "I never want to stay away from you again." I felt the mattress move as he curled onto his side, and I lay there in the dark with tears streaming silently down my face, staring at the ceiling and knowing. I knew. I did not have proof yet, but I knew. Over the following weeks, I watched. I waited. I paid attention to patterns. The nights he said he had to stay late. The way he would immediately take his overnight bag to the laundry room and start a wash before I could see what was in it. But one morning, when he had come home early and gone straight to bed, I slipped out of the covers and crept to the laundry room. His bag was sitting on the floor, unzipped, waiting for him to deal with it when he woke up. I found the condoms. My older brother died in a car accident when I was very young. That loss shaped me in ways I am still discovering. It is the reason I never learned to drive. It is the reason I hold on to the people I love with an almost desperate grip. It is the reason I build a life surrounded by family and friends and stability, because I know, more than most people, how quickly everything can be taken away. So when I found those condoms, it was not just infidelity I was processing. It was the threat of losing everything I had worked so hard to protect myself with. The walls I had built around my heart, the safety net of our life together, all of it was being threatened by foil wrappers in a gym bag. I stood in that laundry room, holding a strip of foil wrappers, and the world went very, very quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. The kind of quiet that happens right before an explosion, when everything holds its breath. I put the condoms back. I zipped the bag. I went back to bed and lay there for 2 hours without moving, watching the ceiling turn from gray to gold as the sun came up. In the days that followed, I found texts. I saw enough to piece together the full picture. Her name did not matter. What mattered was that this was not a one-night mistake. This was ongoing. This was a relationship. And here is the part that most people do not understand, the part that makes them shake their heads and say, "But why didn't you leave?" I made a conscious, deliberate decision to stay. Not out of weakness, not out of denial, not because I did not know my own worth. I stayed because I ran the math on my life and decided that what I had was worth more to me than what he had taken. I have my house, my studio, my family, both mine and his, my friends, my travels, my Friday night dinners, my 3 a.m. burger runs. My entire world is built on the foundation that Victor and I created together, and I was not willing to let some woman I had never met blow it all up. So I mourned. Quietly, privately, I mourned the man I thought my husband was. I let go of the romantic love. I let go of the idea that our bond was unbreakable. And in its place, I built something different. A partnership, a companionship, a friendship, even. I kept the parts of our life that I valued and released the parts that had been shattered. It was not easy. It was not painless. But it was my choice, and I made it with clear eyes. People have asked me, in the comments and messages I have received since sharing this story, how I could possibly be okay with this arrangement. How could I sleep next to a man who was sleeping with someone else? How could I eat dinner across from him and make small talk about our days when I knew he was lying to my face? The answer is complicated. I was not okay. I never said I was okay. I said I made peace with it, and there is a difference. Making peace does not mean the absence of pain. It means learning to carry the pain without letting it destroy you. It means choosing which hills to die on and which ones to walk around. It means looking at your life with brutal honesty and deciding what you can live with and what you cannot. I could live with the affair. What I could not live with was losing my home, my family, my social circle, my studio, my lifestyle, everything I had built over 15 years. Not for a man's inability to keep his promises. He could have his secret. I would keep my life. For 8 months, this arrangement worked. Victor did not know that I knew. He continued his affair, and I continued my life. The nights he stayed out became something I expected rather than something that devastated me. I stopped crying about it. I stopped having nightmares. I found a kind of peace and acceptance. even if it was a different kind of peace than I had known before. And then she contacted me. It started with a message request on social media. One of those "hey girly" messages that women send when they are about to blow up another woman's life. I saw it pop up and I did not open it. I knew exactly what it was. No innocent person sends a "hey girly" to a stranger's wife with that much energy behind it. She did not stop there. She tried on every platform she could find. First it was one platform, then another, then another. She found my business page. She found personal accounts I barely used. She was relentless. Then, somehow, she got my phone number. My actual phone number. And she called me. I answered because I thought it was a buyer for my jewelry business. When I heard her voice, calm and measured and dripping with false friendliness, I froze. She told me to check the messages she had left me online. She wanted to make sure I saw them. Then she waited. I hung up in a panic. My heart was hammering. My hands were shaking. Not because I was learning something new, but because the carefully compartmentalized world I had built was about to be cracked open. So I opened her messages, and what I found there was infuriating. She was pretending she did not know I existed, playing the innocent other woman who had just discovered that the man she was seeing was married. But I had seen Victor's texts. I knew she knew. I knew she had seen pictures of me. I knew they had talked about me. Her entire opening was a performance, a carefully crafted lie designed to make her look innocent and me look like a fool. Something inside me snapped. Not in an angry, out-of-control way. In a cold, clear, almost surgical way. I wrote her back. I told her I already knew about the affair. I told her she could stop lying because I had proof that she knew he was married and to whom. I told her to drop the innocent act. The shift was instantaneous, like flipping a light switch. One moment she was playing the concerned, innocent bystander just trying to do the right thing. The next she was a different person entirely. All pretense of civility evaporated, and what was left underneath was raw, desperate anger. The kind of anger that comes from knowing you have lost control of a situation you thought you were engineering. She turned hostile immediately. The mask came off so fast, it was almost comical. She started with the classic lines. If you were enough for him, he wouldn't need me. Maybe if you were a better wife. He comes to me because you can't satisfy him. The standard Mistress playbook, designed to make the wife feel small. I did not feel small. I felt powerful, because I had something she would never have. I typed my response slowly and deliberately, making sure every word landed exactly where I wanted it to. You can have my leftovers, I wrote. The parts of him that I don't want and that I have apparently been neglecting. You can have his body. You can even have his heart, because I clearly do not need it anymore. But I have half of everything else. The house, the money, the family, the life. So congratulations on your prize. You got the leftovers. She went absolutely berserk. The insults came flooding in, one after another, a torrent of profanity and venom and desperation that I did not bother reading past the first few lines. I blocked her and set my phone down on the counter and sat in my kitchen and cried. Not because of what she said, but because despite everything, despite the detachment I had cultivated, despite the walls I had built, it still hurt. It hurt that someone I loved for 15 years had given another woman the ammunition to come after me like that. It hurt that my life had come to this, sitting alone in my beautiful kitchen, crying over messages from a stranger who was sleeping with my husband. I spent the next few days trying to regain my equilibrium. I went to my studio and worked on a commission piece, which helped. Working with my hands, shaping metal and stone into something beautiful, has always been my therapy. I went to the gym. I had lunch with a friend. I tried to pretend that the walls around my carefully constructed piece had not been rattled. And then Victor started hovering. It was subtle at first, an extra long look across the dinner table, a question that lingered a beat too long. Are you okay? You seem different today. He was circling something but could not bring himself to land on it. I knew that she had told him I knew. I could see it in the way he moved around me, like a man walking through a room full of tripwires. One morning, he came into the kitchen while I was having my coffee. He stood there for a moment, and then he said it. Just blurted it out like ripping off a bandage. You need to know that it's over with her. It's been over since New Year's. I ended it. I looked at him. He could not meet my eyes. Okay, I said. My voice was even. Almost too even. Next time, tell them to never contact me again. There won't be a next time, he said. I love you. I am so sorry. Something about his apology, something about the way he said, I love you, while standing in our kitchen with his eyes on the floor, made me angrier than anything else in this entire ordeal. Angrier than finding the condoms. Angrier than the messages from his mistress. Angrier than 8 months of lying awake at night knowing my husband was with another woman. How dare he apologize? How dare he stand there and pretend that "I love you" and "I'm sorry" could undo what he had done? How dare he think that loving me and betraying me could exist in the same sentence? I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my coffee mug at the wall. I wanted to hit him, but I did none of those things. I sat in my chair and I said, very calmly, "Yes, you will. There will be a next time. And when there is, the next woman is not allowed to contact me. That is all that matters." It was not a question. It was not an invitation for discussion. It was a statement of fact. He asked why I didn't end the affair, why I didn't confront him earlier. I asked him why he ended it. He said because he realized I knew. I asked why he didn't tell me himself. He said because he was a coward and thought he was sparing me pain. I handed him my phone so he could see the screenshots of her messages, weeks of them, the escalating desperation, the hostility, the "hey, girly," that started it all. I asked him if he loved her. He said no. I told him not to lie. He said maybe at first, because it was new and he confused the excitement with love, but he quickly realized it was not. I said, "And like me, you don't want to lose half of everything we have." He said that was not why he loved me. I said, "Well, that's my only reason for staying." The kitchen felt enormous after he left. The coffee in my mug had gone cold. The morning light that I usually loved was too bright, too cheerful, mocking me with its warmth. I sat there replaying the conversation in my head, analyzing every word, every inflection, every micro-expression on his face. He had been genuinely remorseful. I could see that. The tears were real. The shame was real. But remorse does not undo damage. An apology does not unbreak what has been broken. And "I love you" from the mouth of someone who has been lying to you for months lands differently than it used to. It lands like a question instead of a statement. Like he was asking me to confirm it rather than telling me something he knew to be true. He left for work. I sat in that kitchen, completely drained, staring at nothing, for what felt like hours. A few hours later, my mother-in-law showed up at my door. Victor had told his parents everything. She came in, took one look at my face, and opened her arms, and I collapsed into them and finally cried the way I had been needing to cry for 8 months. Not the quiet tears I had shed alone. Real, ugly, heaving sobs that shook my whole body. She was wonderful. She did not make excuses for her son. She did not try to minimize what he had done. She held me and she listened, and when I was done crying, she made tea and we sat together and she told me that whatever I decided, she would support me. She even told me she thought I should leave him. That surprised me. His own mother, telling me to leave. But I told her the same thing I had been telling myself for 8 months. This is my choice. I am not staying because I am weak. I am staying because this life, this specific life, is what I want. And I will mourn what I lost, and I will never forgive him. But I will keep living the life we built because it is mine as much as it is his. She suggested therapy. Victor wanted to try it. I agreed, though more for myself than for us. I needed to talk to someone who did not know us, who had no investment in the outcome, who could just listen without judgment. I also told Victor that I needed a sanctuary, a separate space where I could spend time away from him, a few days a week, or maybe a week each month. A place to breathe. He agreed without hesitation. He would have agreed to anything at that point. The weeks that followed were strange. There is no playbook for how to rebuild your life inside a marriage after something like this. We were civil, polite, careful around each other. He brought me flowers on Friday, like always. He made dinner, like always. And slowly, gradually, the forced normalcy started to feel almost natural again. I told him I would never forgive him. And I meant it. Not because I am cold or vindictive, but because what he destroyed cannot be rebuilt. The man I thought I married, the man who would drive at 3 a.m. for a burger, who would run home every evening because he missed me, that man never existed. He was a fantasy. What existed was a man who could do all of those things and still betray me. And I will never forgive the loss of that illusion. But I can live alongside the reality. I can share a house and a life and a social circle with a man who is flawed and broken and sorry. Because aren't we all, in one way or another? Victor has been different since everything came out. More attentive, more present, more careful with his words and his time. Whether that is genuine change or temporary guilt is something only time will tell. He told me once, late at night when we were lying in bed and the room was dark, and we could be honest in a way that daylight does not allow, that the affair had nothing to do with me, that I was not lacking anything, that he had been the one who was broken, who was selfish, who made a catastrophic mistake because he confused novelty with unhappiness. I listened. I did not respond. Because what do you say to that? Thank you for telling me I was enough while you were busy proving I wasn't. There are no words for that particular contradiction. What I will say is this. The man who came back to me in the middle of that first night, the one who crawled into bed shaking and said he never wanted to be away from me again, that man was real. And the man who kept going back to her for months afterward was also real. Both versions exist in the same person. Holding that truth without letting it tear you apart is perhaps the hardest thing I have ever done. I have started therapy on my own. Not couples therapy, though we do that too. My own therapy, in a quiet office with a woman who does not know Victor, does not know our families, does not know the life we built. She just knows the woman sitting across from her who is trying to figure out how to live inside a marriage that has been fundamentally altered. Some sessions I cry. Some sessions I am angry. Some sessions I sit there and talk about my jewelry and the weather and nothing important at all, because sometimes you just need an hour where nothing hurts. There was one moment that brought me unexpected peace. When all of this came out into the open, when Victor confessed and his parents knew and the secret was no longer eating me alive in silence, I felt something I had not felt in 8 months. Relief. The weight of knowing, of carrying this alone, of maintaining the facade. That weight had been crushing me more than I realized. And now it was gone. I could finally stop obsessing. I could finally stop checking for signs. I could just live. Some people have asked me about children. Victor and I are child-free by choice. About 5 years ago, we had a terrible experience, one that I am not ready to share in detail, and after that, Victor got a vasectomy. I am grateful for that decision now, not just for the obvious reasons, but because it means she could never trap him with a pregnancy. That thought had crossed my mind more than once during those 8 months. The vasectomy was a safety net I did not even know I needed until I needed it. I should also mention that I am a math teacher by training. I left the profession years ago because Victor's income allowed me to pursue my jewelry business full-time. But if anything ever happened, if this life fell apart tomorrow, I could go back to teaching and live a normal, stable life on my own. I am not trapped here. I want people to understand that. I am here because I choose to be, not because I have no other option. That distinction matters to me more than almost anything. I think about the woman who contacted me sometimes. Not with anger, not anymore. More with a detached curiosity. What did she think was going to happen? Did she really believe that blowing up my marriage would send Victor running into her arms? Did she not realize that she was the replaceable one in this equation? That Victor would not trade the house, the family, the life, the money, for a woman he had been sneaking around with? She was not fighting for love. She was fighting for a fantasy. And my 4 words took that fantasy apart. You got the leftovers. I stand by that. Every word. If you were sitting where I sat 8 months ago, knowing something that would shatter your world if you acknowledged it out loud, I want to tell you something. There is no right answer. There is no universal playbook for how to handle betrayal. Some people leave and rebuild and find happiness on the other side. Some people stay and rebuild and find a different kind of happiness. Neither choice makes you weak or strong. It makes you human. What matters is that the choice is yours. Not his. Not hers. Not your mother-in-law's. Not your friends. Not the internet's. Yours. I chose to stay. I chose my house, my studio, my family, my life. I chose the parts of my marriage that still work and released the parts that are broken. It is not a fairy tale. It is not the love story I thought I was living. But it is real, and it is mine, and most days, it is enough. We do not have a prenup. I made sure of that when we got married. Not because I was planning for this, but because my mother always told me to protect myself. No prenup means I am entitled to half of everything. The house, the investments, the retirement accounts, all of it. And honestly, a good lawyer could probably get me more than half given the circumstances. Victor knows this. I know this. It hangs in the air between us like an unspoken agreement. I will stay because I want to, but I could leave and take a significant portion of everything we built. That knowledge is its own kind of power. And as for the leftovers, well, she can keep them. I have the rest. I want to leave you with one last thought. The reason his mistress reached out to me was not to help me. It was to help herself. She wanted me to leave so she could have my life, my house, my family, my Friday dinners, and 3 a.m. burger runs. She did not want Victor. She wanted what Victor gave me. And when I told her that all she had were the leftovers, I was not being cruel. I was being honest. Sometimes the truth is the cruelest thing of all. I apologize for my grammar. English is not my first language, and I do not write in it often. But I wanted to share this story because I know there are other women sitting in their kitchens right now, holding a secret that is eating them alive, wondering what to do. Whatever you decide, make sure it is your decision, and make sure you know your worth, even if the person who should have known it forgot. Subscribe for more stories. If this one resonated with you, leave a comment and share your thoughts. And until next time, remember that your life belongs to you, every single piece of it.